I'm very excited to reveal to you 5 keto swaps. Now look, even if you're not doing keto, these are 5 foods that we think that are healthy, quotation marks, but they're actually not healthy. They create inflammation, but not am I just going to give you these foods and reveal them to you. I'm also going to give you the swaps. This is what I'm about to share with you. Now, what I'm about to share with you, I have been researching health and nutrition for 16 years. I've worked with thousands of people, and I've learned this the hard way on myself and with a lot of clients, that these 5 foods I used to think were healthy. You might think they're healthy, but they're actually inflammatory. Look, what percentage would you say? What percentage of Americans are actually metabolically healthy? Meaning they have optimal inflammatory levels, optimal body fat percentage, optimal lipids, optimal blood pressure, not on medication. What do you think that percentage is? This video won't play, but let me share a study with you. Look, this study came out from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. It was a 2018 study, a 10-year study. So they started in 2008, published it in 2018. And what they did is they took thousands of people and monitored their health status, 8,000 plus people. And they looked at different metrics such as blood pressure, on medication, off medication, blood sugar levels, BMI. Now, BMI is not the greatest metric, but they looked at BMI. At the end of the study, the conclusion, get this, they determined that only 12% of American adults are healthy. That's it, meaning 88% of American adults are metabolically unhealthy. 88%. Look, this happened. This was before COVID. Do you think this got better after COVID? Do you think it got worse? And I'm going to say this, 88% of these individuals, Americans, are in a keto deficiency. They could really tap into this metabolic process we call ketosis to heal the body. We'll talk more about that. This is just one study. Let's look at another study real quick before I give you the swaps. Now, this one was looking at cardiometabolic metrics, cardiovascular health. We know heart disease, my friends, #1 killer in the United States. Cancer is a close second. And by the way, 1 in 3 women are diagnosed with cancer in America. In men, it's 1 in 2. You think we have a problem? Yes. You think we were built to be weak? No, God did not build a weak body. You are a masterpiece because you are actually a piece of the master. We don't just want to survive, we want to thrive. This study showed that 6.8%, only 6.8% of adults in America are what they consider healthy, meaning 93% of American adults are unhealthy, metabolically challenged, metabolically handcuffed. Again, they're in a keto deficiency. 93% of people are in a keto deficiency. And look, there is nothing new about keto, my friends. Are you doing keto? Let me know in the chat box. Monica in the Bahamas, love you. Are you doing keto? Have you ever done keto? Look, keto is not a diet. It's not even new. It's just nuanced or maybe new to you, but there's nothing new about keto. Ketosis is a metabolic process that has been around, my friends, for as long as humans have existed. Right? Nothing new about it. It's not a fad diet. That's a fact. Just to make my point even further here, babies, if you were breastfed as a baby, if you're currently breastfeeding your baby, that baby's in ketosis. Breastfed babies are in ketosis. Why? Because burning fat is our primal birthright. Ketones are really important for the brain, the neurological development of the brain, because here's the most important thing to understand. When you are in ketosis, those ketones are actually communicating with your mitochondria to make more mitochondria. And guess which part of the body has the most mitochondria? The brain. And when that baby is developing, you better be sure we got to develop that brain the right way. So breast milk has saturated fat and cholesterol, helps the development of that baby's brain. And yes, there's sugar in breast milk, but the baby goes in and out of ketosis. Those are 3 studies to verify that. Look, now, why isn't keto working for you? Look, if you're doing keto or not, these 5 tips are going to benefit you. Here are 5 keto foods, or if you're not doing keto, let's just say, here are 5 foods causing inflammation, and I'm going to give you the swap. So if you're ready for this, let me know in the chat box. I'm ready, Ben. Let's do this. Pen and paper handy. Write these down. Again, I've been in the health and wellness space for 16 years. I speak on stages all across the world. I have done a lot of research, and I'm going to extract 5 of the most important things to remove and then the things to replace them with. I would say this, number 5 is the most important tip here. So please make sure you watch until the end. Number 5 is the most important tip here. All right, number 1, vegetable oils / seed oils. And I'm going to give you a list of all of them. Stand by here. Let me make the case here. Look, when we look back at the global production of vegetable oils called seed oils, called PUFAs, in the 1930s is when we saw an increase. Before that, small amounts of vegetable oil, what's called linoleic acid, was in our diet. And you can see how it has skyrocketed up to a point where it is everywhere. It's at the Whole Foods supermarket. It's at your fancy restaurant, everywhere. Vegetable oils are everywhere. And that is a problem because when I interviewed my dear friend, and I love Dr. 𝙎𝙬𝘎𝘋. If you don't know who she is a medical doctor. This is me and her at Keto Orlando Summit a couple years ago. She's a medical doctor. She's a New York Times bestselling author of Deep Nutrition. Go get that book, great book. She was also the nutritionist for the Los Angeles Lakers when Kobe Bryant used to play. And I asked her this question. I said, Dr. Kate, when we think about inflammation, disease, cancer, heart disease, autoimmune disease, if I gave you 3 scenarios, Dr. Kate, which scenario will lead to disease faster? Smoking cigarettes every day, Dr. Kate? Eating processed sugar every day, Dr. Kate? Or eating vegetable oils every day? You know what she said? She actually laughed and said, Ben, that's an easy question. Hands down, it's the vegetable oil. She said, look, smoking's not good for you, but once you finish the last puff, damage is done. Cigarette smoke is not accumulating in your body fat. Eating processed sugar, not good for you. But what happens when you eat sugar? You get a sugar spike, and then it goes back down. But my friends, vegetable oils called linoleic acid, the half-life of vegetable oil, meaning if you stop eating them today, half of them will remain in your body fat, creating inflammation 680 days later, 2 years later. That's why she believes, and I agree with her, that these adulterated, rancid vegetable oils are worse than smoking and sugar. Yes, they're keto friendly. They're not health friendly. But look, even if you're not doing keto, they're everywhere. I'm going to give you a list shortly. I wanted to play this video, but I tried to test this out and it only played audio. But if you want to see how canola oil is made, go on YouTube and type in how canola oil is made. It's disgusting. So here's the problem with these vegetable oils. Look, it's not that omega-6 is bad for you. It's not that seed oils are bad for you. It's the processing of omega-6 and seed oils that make them bad. It's the adulteration. I want to make that really clear because omega-6 fats that are unadulterated are very important for health. But when you process them at high temperatures and they add chemical agents like bleach and nasty detergents, that's what makes it inflammatory. So it's the adulteration. They're used in a lot of processed foods because it helps with the shelf life. This process shuts down oxygen transfer, okay? And that is not good because when you shut down oxygen transfer and you don't allow for proper oxygen transfer within your cells, you know what that leads to? Cancer. It leads to cancer. That's not good. So here's a list, my friends. I hope you take a screenshot. Let me get out of the way for TikTok. Here's a list of the fats, the oils that you want to avoid at all costs if they're adulterated. Canola oil, which is called rapeseed oil in the UK, corn oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, peanut oil, sunflower oil, grapeseed oil, rice bran oil, and yeah, my friends, fish oil, not good for you, arguably even worse than the oils above. Very, very unstable, has more double bonds than a seed oil. So take a screenshot, avoid these. This is what you want to avoid as much as possible. Now, what do you swap them for? These are called polyunsaturated fatty acids. The word poly means many. So when you look at the chemical structure of vegetable oils, polyunsaturated fats, it contains many double bonds. Not good, because when you heat it up and add chemicals, it's highly reactive. Think of biting into an apple, leaving it on the counter, it turns brown. That's what these oils are doing to your cells. Not good. But then we have different types of fats called saturated fats and monounsaturated fats. These are really good. No double bonds in saturated fats, and mono has just one double bond, hence the word mono. So I'm going to give you a list of the better fats to swap with. Here's the first swap. Swap out the vegetable oils with olive oil, avocado oil, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee, duck fat, lard that's not hydrogenated, coconut oil, and beef tallow. One of the tips I give my keto camp students all the time is this. When we think about oils to cook with, if you want to do it the right way, always think of it this way. I hope this tip sticks with you for the rest of your life. If nothing else sticks with this video, let it be this one. When you think about cooking oils or cooking fats, animal fats are the best for cooking. When you think about salad dressings and dips and low heat cooking, that's more fruit-based oils. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. Animal-based fats on this list that are going to be the best for cooking are going to be grass-fed butter and ghee. Obviously, that comes from a cow. Duck fat, lard, and then beef tallow. Those are all great for cooking, even at high temperatures. What's going to be better for salad dressings and dips will be, I hit the wrong button here, will be olive oil, because that's a fruit, avocado, it's a fruit, and then coconut oil, another fruit. These are going to be better for salad dressings and dips. Now, are you doing it wrong if you're using high quality olive oil or avocado oil or coconut oil to cook with? No, but if you really want to maximize benefits here with hormones and cell membrane health, you want to always remember, cook with animal fats, use salad dressings and dips for fruit-based fats. The next tip is going to be high oxalate veggies and nuts. What does that mean? What are high oxalate veggies and nuts? Oxalates are a problem, and let me explain what it means. So oxalates are anti-nutrients found in certain vegetables and nuts and seeds, and they're all keto friendly. They're these tiny crystals. You can see what they look like with a microscope. Very tiny crystals, and there's an issue with them. These crystals could create kidney stones, joint pain. It could lead to leaky gut, inflammation in general. And there are specific foods on keto or even outside of keto that have a high amount of these. I'll give you a list shortly. But they suck energy from you. Anti-nutrients and plant toxins. Oxalates are probably the worst. There's a whole bunch of different anti-nutrients out there. But just make sure you write down the list I'm going to give to you in a second. So leaky gut. These crystals could poke holes in your intestinal lining, leading to leaky gut. Leaky gut, you have this intestinal permeability, this mucosal barrier. And when you have a lot of oxalates or whatever, toxins, etc., come in and poke holes in that gut, it opens up, the tight junctions open up, and you can see right here, food particles begin to go undigested into the bloodstream. When that happens over time, now your immune system is on high alert, and then it flags avocado as a threat, eggs as a threat, this food as a threat. Even though these foods are healthy, now you're allergic to them. Now you're sensitive to them. And now all of a sudden, your immune system is on overdrive. And if that continues to happen, it leads to autoimmune disease. It's also the #1 cause of kidney stones, by the way, high oxalate foods. It leads to muscle weakness and joint pain and a lot of other symptoms we don't have time to cover. So here's a list of them, but I'm going to give you a couple of the ones we really want to avoid. So here's a list of high oxalate foods. We have raspberries, dark chocolate and cacao powder, Swiss chard, buckwheat, soy products. Spinach is one of the highest. Spinach is something we want to avoid at all costs. Potatoes and yams, although that's not really keto. Wheat bran, black tea, beans, although that's not keto. Rhubarb, nuts and seeds. So there are a couple, like almonds, you want to avoid. If you suspect you have a sensitivity to oxalates, which you probably do, almonds are loaded with oxalates. That's something we want to avoid. I'm going to give you some swaps in a second. And then beets are also loaded in oxalates as well. Okay, so what would you replace the almonds with? And it's a problem in the keto space because let's face it, almond flour, almond bread, almond cookies, almond this, almonds are a problem. They're high in oxalates. So we want to swap them for nuts that are lower with plant toxins and have a better nutritional profile with omega fats, 3 to 6, 6 to 3. That's going to be walnuts, pecans, Brazil nuts, peely nuts, and macadamia nuts. Now, I would tell you this, macadamia nuts and peely nuts are probably the best options here, but I wanted to throw in a couple more options to not make you feel restricted. So I would say that we want to stick probably with macadamia nuts and peely nuts if you're really sensitive. So instead of almonds, this is the swap. Instead of spinach, this is the swap too. Arugula, like dandelion tea would be better. Broccoli and Brussels sprouts. You know, the good thing about focusing on arugula, low in plant toxins, but also it's a bile stimulant. It helps, it's a bitter, so it helps your liver produce bile to break down fat. Very important on keto. I talk about that a lot. So I would say arugula would be the best here, but then I give you some more options right there. So I told you I'm not going to just give you the bad news. I'm going to give you some swaps as well. So I hope this is helpful. We have a few more to go, but I hope it's helpful. Okay, number 3, don't shoot the messenger, but pasteurized dairy. Pasteurized cow and dairy and cheese. Let me explain why. Look, this study came out in 2012. We've known this for, what is that? For 12 years. And this study showed that approximately 75% of the world's population loses its ability to process dairy at some point into adulthood. 75% of us in the world cannot process pasteurized cow dairy. It leads to postnasal drip, maybe a headache, maybe some fatigue, maybe some weight gain or weight loss resistance. The symptoms are going to be different based on the person. Now that's pasteurized cow dairy. What do you swap that with? Here are the replacements. These are much, much better. Sheep and goat dairy are always a better option than cow dairy. Sheep and goat are going to be a much, much better option. And that's because sheep and goat dairy, number 1, doesn't have the issue with the lactose. Number 2, 30% of sheep and goat dairy contain medium chain triglycerides. And if your goal is to produce ketones, which I hope it is, medium chain triglycerides help you do that. And speaking of which, when you think about those blue zones out there, and there's a lot of flaws with these blue zone studies, but what a lot of them have in common, they eat a lot of sheep and goat dairy. Interesting. And then instead of almond milk or pasteurized dairy from cows, you want to have macadamia nut milk, coconut milk. Now, I'm okay with raw dairy from grass-fed cows, organic. That's fine. Most people do well with that. The pasteurization is the issue. The heating of it kills all the bad bacteria they say is in there, but it also gets rid of the good bacteria and the good probiotics and the good nutrients. Yeah, mucus is another symptom, right? So that's the swap. Dave, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for complimenting the mustache. It's an honor to my father. I have, what tip was this? This was number 3. I have 2 more to go. The best way to know you're eating the right foods that are anti-inflammatory is to prepare your own foods. If you're anything like me, by the way, I do not enjoy cooking. I think it's a waste of time. When I see an ingredients list that is long and it takes all this cook time, I don't do it. But it's a problem because I know making my own food, I control what goes into the meals. Like I'm giving you all these ingredients and it's hard to go out and have the restaurant, the place you're eating at, customize everything for you. So making your own meals is important. So I solved this problem for myself. I hope I solved it for you. I think I did. In the last few months, I've been working with this food journalist, recipe developer. Her name is Jennifer. And I gave her all of my guidelines. Like what I just shared with you so far, these oils cannot be in there. Pasteurized dairy cannot be in there. High oxalate plant toxin foods cannot be in there. And then secondly, we focus a lot on protein. So it needs to have enough protein in that meal. It also needs to equal the right ratios to keep you in ketosis and get you into ketosis. So I developed this and it just released. It's called the Keto Camp Recipes of the Week. And if you look at it here, if you go to ketocampresrecipes.com, it'll take you to this page and there's a short video here. But look, in order to meet my high standards and ketogenic guidelines, as well as using only ingredients I approve of, I vetted every single ingredient. We put this together and it tastes good. They're easy to make. You can see some photos of some of the meals here. They keep you in ketosis. You stay in ketosis, guaranteed to help you burn fat. And you can see these recipes do not contain any inflammatory seed oils or vegetable oils. These recipes include only low plant toxin vegetables. These recipes have been shown to help increase gut diversity, help with digestive issues, and so on and so forth. Anyways, we're offering this to you right now for those watching for a low price of just $9.97 per month. That's 33 cents per day. And I'm giving away 4 bonuses valued at $438 for those who join it today. You could cancel anytime. You can see here, you could either get it for $9.97 per month or get an annual offer at additional 20% off. If you don't love it, within 30 days, we'll give you a full refund, keep the bonuses, and no questions asked. So I'd love for you to go to KetoCampRecipes.com and get it. You can learn more about it there. I think this is going to be a no-brainer for a lot of you. You could scan this as well, KetoCampRecipes.com. The price will go up later, so hopefully you get this and see this on time. But this is exactly why I made it. I wanted to make it a no-brainer, 33 cents a day. You'll get a recipe in your inbox from me every day, along with the story of why I chose it, what it's going to do for you, and some additional keto resources along with all those bonuses. So I hope you get in, KetoCampRecipes.com. Camp is spelled with a K, KetoCampRecipes.com. All right, let's continue. Number 4, artificial sweeteners. A lot of controversy under artificial sweeteners. Let's talk about it. Here are the ones you want to avoid. The light is kind of reflecting here, so let me fix this here. Yeah, I think you could see that. I'll read it to you in case you can't see it. I think, actually, I could do it here. Let's see. Okay, that's better. So you have sorbitol, aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, and sulforaphane potassium. We want to avoid these sweeteners. Look, Splenda, for example, which has sucralose. This study showed that they tracked where sucralose ends up in the body after you consume it. And once they tracked it all, there was 3.3% of it that was untraceable. Where is it going? Is it turning into an unusual metabolite? Is it bioaccumulating somewhere else in the body? Where the heck is it going? Not good. This study showed on 17 obese women that sucralose increased glucose and insulin levels in some of them, while it didn't do it in others. So it's going to be dependent on that person. It could potentially raise your glucose and insulin. Not good, especially if you're overweight. This study in the Scandinavian, actually in Nature, 2014, began examining what happened to different groups of mice fed these artificial sweeteners. And worryingly, it says, worryingly, all of the mice that were fed the artificial sweeteners quickly developed glucose intolerance, a harbinger of diabetes, obesity, and metabolic disease. Not good. So we want to swap them. Well, I'll give you some more studies, actually. These studies show Splenda may cause weight gain. These studies show Splenda affects gut bacteria in a negative way. These studies show cooking with Splenda is not good for you. Swap them for these. When you get your Keto Camp recipes, you'll only get the quality ones, by the way. So we want to have monk fruit, pure stevia, erythritol, xylitol, swerve. Some people do better with certain other ones, so you might want to test it out. These are much better. Swap them out for that. For example, here are some brands that I personally use. To give you an example, Lakanto, great. Swerve, great. Sweet Leaf, organic stevia and xylitol from Now brands, great. So those are some easy swaps for you. Okay, number 5, this is the most important tip. Swap out stinking thinking. Allow me to explain here. The average person has 60,000 thoughts every single day. That's a lot of damn thoughts. And they estimate that 90% of those 60,000 daily thoughts, 90% of them are negative thoughts. And 90% of them are the same thoughts from yesterday, and 85% of those thoughts are negative thoughts. Stinking thinking. And guess what? If your thinking is stinking, your dreams are shrinking. Your thoughts actually communicate to your cells. And 2% of the population think, 3% of the population, they think, and 95% of the population would rather die than think. Your thoughts communicate with your DNA nucleus. Allow me to share how this works, my friends. This is going to blow your mind. So this is you, your little human body right here. And then these are all the thoughts you have every single day. 60,000 thoughts. 60,000. So I could be here forever drawing these thoughts. These thoughts have energy. These thoughts are frequencies, and these thoughts actually communicate down to your DNA. So all those thoughts that you have every day are actually sending signals to your DNA nucleus, to your cells. And depending on what the thought is, will determine what type of protein the DNA produces. For example, if it's a negative thought, if it's a hateful thought, angry thought, etc., that DNA is being told to produce inflammatory proteins. Inflammation from a single thought, which shortens your telomeres, damages your DNA, and messes you up. From a single thought. Imagine that happening 60,000 days. Your thoughts are either creating inflammation or de-inflammation. Now, the same thoughts, 60,000, if it's instead not negative, not hateful, not angry, but loving, what I call gratitude, vitamin G, abundant, you get the point, same signal sent, but now that DNA is protected. Now that DNA's telomeres are protected. Now that DNA produces anti-inflammatory proteins, all from a single thought. So if you have 60,000 thoughts a day, yeah, Kim, good to see you. If you have 60,000 thoughts a day and those thoughts have the ability to inflame you or de-inflame you, my friends, this means you have 60,000 opportunities every single day to put your body in an anti-inflammatory state. How empowering is that? But it's not as easy as just saying change your thoughts. Just change your thoughts, change your thoughts. It's just not as easy as doing that because your environment determines your thoughts. But look, Bob Proctor said thoughts become things. If you could see it in your mind, you could hold it in your hand. Let me make the case even further, and then I'll make the point why your environment is so important. Look, there's a book out there called The Hidden Messages in Water. Who's read this book? In this book, Dr. Emoto, his goal was to use magnetic resonance analysis technology and high-speed photographs. And what they did, they put water next to a piece of paper that has certain word written on it to see if the word written on the piece of paper next to the water changed the chemical structure of that water. So, for example, when they wrote the words love and gratitude next to that body of water and then looked at it through that technology, look at the crystal, the beautiful crystal the water turned into with the words love and gratitude. But if the words written were you disgust me, look what the water turned into. Eternal, that word eternal turned into this beautiful crystal. Peace, beautiful crystal. Evil, disgusting crystal. Thank you, beautiful crystal. Now you're thinking, all right, what does this have to do with me, Ben? Your body is at least, it's a lot more probably, but 70% water. That's why you are the most influential person you'll speak to today or tomorrow or the next day, because your thoughts will determine your future. There's a video on YouTube called Fleas in a Jar. Go watch it. It's not playing for me, technical issues, but go watch it. It shows how your environment molds you. One of the things that I do is this exercise to determine people in my life if they're for me or against you. It's called the Chargers versus Drainers exercise. And here's what you want to do. I encourage you to do this later today. You're just going to grab a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. You're going to put Chargers on the right side. You're going to put Drainers on the left side. And then you're going to think about the people in your life that are close to you, friends, family, coworkers, and the people that are Chargers are people that support you. You are charged up after you speak to them. They're rooting for you. They have your back. They authentically care for you. You're going to put those people right here. It's probably going to be a short list. Be aware. On the left, you're going to put people who complain, who don't really support you. You feel drained after speaking to them. You're going to do that audit on your environment. This is probably going to be a lot more people in your life. But once you do the audit, now you're clear on chargers in your life versus drainers, and you want to spend more time with the chargers and less time with the drainers. Here's why. Your environment, the people in your life, billboards, TV commercials, social media, your environment will determine your beliefs and your values. Your beliefs and your values will determine the thoughts that you think. The thoughts that you think will determine the actions you take, and the actions you take essentially determine your results and your destiny. It starts with your environment. So do this exercise. It is so important. Do it. And I got to tell you, I do this every year, and it makes a big difference for me. I hope it'll make a big difference for you. So that is that. I'm going to answer some questions here. If you want to get those fat-burning recipes that are formulated the way I eat, that are delivered to your inbox every single week, which contain none of the bad ingredients I showed today, only the good ones, then scan this or go to KetoCampRecipes.com. KetoCampRecipes.com. Alina, if you could drop that in the comment section, KetoCampRecipes.com. That'll be very, very helpful. Watch the video on the screen here to learn more about nitric oxide and the 6 ways to increase it in your body. The average American consumes 300 to 400 grams of carbohydrates every day. That creates something called advanced glycation end products. And yes, the acronym for that is AGEs, because it's going to age you faster.